EastEnders spoilers follow for Monday's August 10th episode, which is currently available to stream on BBC iPlayer. The episode will be broadcast at 7:30 p.m. Spending 4 years in prison has done little to change Gray Atkins, who has quickly shown since returning to our screens that he remains every bit as dangerous and ruthless as before. The murderer, who was responsible for the deaths of his wife Chantel and neighbours Kush Kazemi and Tina Carter, is determined to take his son Jordan away from his mother Chelsea Fox by whatever means necessary. As viewers already know, Jordan was hurt in an accident earlier this year after Ian Beale unknowingly struck the young boy, who had run into the road following an argument with Chelsea. Ian was handed an 8-month prison sentence and has since ended up behind bars alongside Gray. The killer was furious after discovering what had happened to Jordan and placed the blame firmly on Chelsea. Ian was also on poor terms with Chelsea after she failed to attend his sentencing to provide a statement to the court. Gray spotted an opportunity and offered Ian protection in prison in return for arranging a meeting with Chelsea. Ian remained uncertain about the proposal, fully aware that Gray was not someone he could safely trust. Instead, he began speaking with another prisoner named Lloyd, with whom he quickly developed a strong connection. The two inmates bonded over how their lives had failed to turn out as they had once expected, while Ian began worrying about his own future after witnessing a frightening confrontation between two prisoners. Gray observed the growing friendship from a distance and soon became concerned that Ian was becoming too close to Lloyd. Realizing that Lloyd could potentially interfere with his plans, Gray devised a sinister scheme that would remove him from the equation while also terrifying Ian into following his demands. In dramatic scenes, several inmates attacked Lloyd on Gray's orders, while a powerless Ian was forced to watch the brutal assault. After seeing what had happened to Lloyd, Ian became convinced that he could also become a target and decided that accepting Gray's protection was his only option. He therefore followed the killer's instructions and contacted Chelsea to organize a prison visit. But will Gray finally succeed in getting what he wants? And will Chelsea realize just how serious the threat to Jordan has become? Sheila Atkins, whose secret partnership with her grandson Gray was exposed last week, is planning to abduct Jordan while Chelsea is visiting the prison. Can Chelsea discover what Sheila and Gray are plotting before it becomes too late? And will Ian finally understand that Gray is manipulating him and that the killer can never be trusted? EastEnders Adam Crosdell once pretended to be Richard Hammond after fan confused him with former Top Gear star. While portraying Dr. Al Jenkins on the BBC soap between 2009 and 2010, Adam Crosdell was approached by a woman in Covent Garden, London. Rather than correcting her mistake and leaving her disappointed, the actor decided to play along with the amusing confusion. Adam, 46, revealed that he was walking through Covent Garden when a woman suddenly approached him and asked whether he was someone she recognized from television. The actor confirmed that she was right, prompting the woman to explain that she knew his face from one of her favorite programs. Adam happily thanked her for the compliment before she asked whether he was Richard Hammond from Top Gear. Instead of telling her that she had mistaken him for someone else, Adam chose not to disappoint her and allowed the woman to believe she had genuinely met the former Top Gear presenter. That amusing encounter was not the only unusual experience Adam had during his time in the public eye. He explained that appearing on EastEnders often resulted in people approaching him with requests to represent their products or help promote various brands. Adam remembered attending an event one evening where a large group of photographers had gathered and the guests were directed towards them. He then recalled a man suddenly approaching him and placing an expensive-looking bottle of vodka in his hand before telling him to walk outside with it. The man was clearly hoping Adam would unknowingly promote the drink in front of the photographers. However, Adam does not drink alcohol, so he immediately realized what was happening and politely explained that he could not walk out carrying the bottle and become an unofficial face for the product. He subsequently handed the bottle straight back to the man. During his time in Walford, Al also formed close friendships with several residents, particularly Heather Trott, who was the first person to tell the doctor about her pregnancy with George. The character was also involved in several romantic storylines, including relationships with Tanya Branning, Chelsea Fox, and Roxy Mitchell, with his connection to Roxy becoming particularly meaningful. In 2010, Al received a new job opportunity in Cornwall and asked Roxy to move away with him. However, Roxy decided against leaving, meaning Al eventually departed Walford alone during the February 4th episode. Adam has said that he will remain very grateful to EastEnders, as his time on the soap helped him fulfill his childhood ambition of building a career as an actor in the United States. Since moving across the Atlantic, he has appeared in productions including The Electric State, NCIS, and The Odyssey. The actor explained that his earnings from EastEnders gave him the financial freedom to move to America and begin an entirely new chapter of his life. Adam also opened up about his early childhood, revealing that his story began well before he arrived in England. He was born and brought up in Zimbabwe, Africa, by English parents, and from a very young age he dreamed of appearing in American movies. As a child, he initially wanted to become an astronaut, before realizing that much of his fascination with space came from watching astronauts in films and television programs. Growing up in Zimbabwe, Adam regularly watched both British and American television shows, visited the cinema, and imagined himself one day becoming part of Hollywood movies. For that reason, landing a role in EastEnders was an enormous achievement and an unforgettable experience for him, even though he always believed that his journey might eventually take him to America. Looking back, Adam admits that his younger self in Africa could never have imagined that he would one day appear in EastEnders. Yet, despite achieving that dream, he always held on to the hope that his career would eventually lead him across the Atlantic to make American films. EastEnders Pete Beale star 33 years after his heartbreaking BBC soap departure. It has now been 33 years since Pete Beale, the father of Ian Beale, was last seen operating his famous fruit and vegetable stall in EastEnders. The BBC One soap first arrived on television in 1985, with viewers being introduced to the Beale family, including Lou, her son Pete, his wife Kathy, and their son Ian. Pete was also the twin brother of Pauline Fowler, the iconic head of the Fowler family, creating a lasting connection between the two families that continues to be reflected in the show today. Across 4 decades of EastEnders history, few market traders could identify a golden delicious from a Granny Smith as effortlessly as Pete. Not even his grandson Peter Beale, who now occupies the same stall. Pete remained a familiar face at the market from February 1985 until May 1993, becoming involved in numerous dramas around Walford. One of his biggest storylines involved the paternity controversy surrounding Simon Wicks and his first wife, Pat Butcher. EastEnders airs Mondays to Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on BBC One, or stream from 6 a.m. on BBC iPlayer.